Okay, and if everyone can unmute your microphones for a second and join me in giving a warm round of applause to Pro Football Hall of Famer, Mr. Mike Haynes.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. I did see a young lady with her hand up. You want to ask your question now or do you want to wait? No? Okay, then I need you'll wait. Let me just say, for me, the importance of character was really seen when I was working in the league office for the National Football League. When I was responsible for helping players transition into our sport, on the pro level, I got a chance to look at football from the top of the mountain, you might say, all the way down to youth football, to 5- and 6-year-old kids when they're playing football. And I started to recognize that the kids who really struggled with transition into the league were kids that had troubled character. And so we actually had a lot of programs that were designed to help kids with character, our players with characters. But what folks don't realize is that the career in the National Football League is very short. It's even shorter than when I had that position at the league. Now it's like 2.5 years. So if you can imagine your life, dedicating your life to making it to the National Football League and then only playing a couple of years and your career is over. At that time, you're probably 22 when you come into the league, so you're 24 when you go out of the league. You're still a real young person. And so if you've not been working on your character all those years, you might have a tough road to hoe for a while. And as you guys know, because it's not only in the National Football League, you see it in your own schools, you see it amongst your friends. Some kids will take character seriously. Now, they hold their friends accountable. Their friends hold them accountable. They know, how important it is to be honest and not to cheat and things like that. So these are really simple lessons that all kids need to learn, all adults need to learn. And until we become experts at understanding, the importance and experts at developing good character, it can be challenging. So I'm glad to be here with you guys, and I assume that everybody is on this broadcast with me today is people who understand that it's good character that's going to make a difference. And as you all know, you can work on your character, and you will be working on your character for the rest of your life. And so I want to, say kudos to you for being part of this call today, and I'm looking forward to spending time with you.
Thank you, Mr. Haynes. And students, just to, again, let me reiterate to you that, as I said earlier, there's been 23,000 men that have played in the National Football League since it started here in Canton, Ohio in 1920. There are only 287 members of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So you are talking about, the elite of the elite when you're talking to Mr. Haynes here. So I encourage you to ask those questions of, what I know we have across the board. We have high school students. We have, 5th, 6th grade students as well. Ask those questions about what obstacles that he faced in life, and whether it was in middle school or whether it was in high school or anything that you want that you think that can help you further yourself along in your life. Because I do know Mr. Haynes very, very well, and he's a person that he'll be happy to share anything he can to help you guys along. So with that being said, we're going to go to, because Danzy is not connected yet, we're going to go straight to our friends at Sidman, Pennsylvania. If you want to start off with the first question of the program, go ahead.
Hello, Mr. Haynes.
All right.
I'm actually going to jump in here before the kiddos because, as I mentioned to you before, our assistant principal is a huge Raiders fan. Well, he's here right now, and I did reserve one spot for him to ask a question.
Okay.
So we're going to bring Mr. Larry Selmer in over here, and we'll let him take the first question, and then the kids will follow throughout the rest of the video conference.
Okay.
Right, here's the camera there, Mr. Selmer.
Mr. Haynes, can you see me?
I can see. Yep, now I can see you. Yes.
It's an honor all the time. I'm a Raiders fan, so from when I was like 6 years old, Daryl LaMonica Stadiums. I still even have some of that. I have a whole bunch of Raider jerseys in my house. Obviously, I have 3 helmets. I got to
the camera is to your left.
Oh,
there.
Okay. I got to talk to some people from the Black Hole when they were in Pittsburgh. But I have one question. I heard that you your focus is on charactership. Can you explain to our students here what you define as the 3 most important character building skills that they need to know to be successful in life? I think those are always important for kids at this age to start to get that background, to understand what they need to know to be successful, much like yourself.
Well, for me, and I think for all people, I think you need to have a goal. You have to have some ambition. You have to have something that you're trying to get to later in life. And so it could be a college education. It could be, for me, it really was, I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And so with that, what are the things I need to learn to be an entrepreneur? And I started setting goals about how to go about learning those things I needed to learn. So, being a good friend, being, my word being my talk, walking my talk, being honest, having integrity, being accountable and holding others accountable. Those are like key things. And I have to say that, for me, it started with being a football player. If I wanted to be a football player, then I had to be on time. I had to be nice to my teammates. I had to be nice to my coaches. And that was probably the hardest thing for me to do because, they were yelling at me most of the time to have respect for that. But understand that they really had my back. They were doing the things that they thought I needed to learn to be an excellent football player. And in the end, looking back, I can see that they were right. So I think it's understanding probably the most important thing is understanding, like someone says, you need to get straight A's in school. Why do I need to get straight A's in school? Because you want to go to a college. Why do I need to go to college? Because I want to get a good job. Why do you need a good job? Well, in solving and finding the answers to all those questions, it kind of leads you on this path where, okay, it looks like I need to do these things if I'm going to have a life that I really desired and really want for myself. Character plays a big part of that because if you're not going to be a good member of the team, people aren't going to want you at their college. They're not going to want you on their team. Coaches aren't going to want to teach you. You're going to be an unpleasant guy to be around. And so the best thing you can do is to learn to focus in on the things that you want to achieve in your life and do the things that it's going to take to get there. And when it becomes just part of you, when having a good character just becomes who you are, and it can. I'm an inner city kid, and I can tell you that I wasn't always this, guy that everybody loves. I had a big ego when I was in elementary school because I was such a good athlete. But I learned over time that there's tons of good athletes. I learned that me having this big ego it's not about me. It's about my team. And the more I can help my team be better, the better it's going to be for me. And so I learned an awful lot, and I appreciate that question because a lot of young people don't know what it is they want to do. What do I want to be? I have no idea. So I try and encourage them to follow their passion, figure out what you're passionate about, and then start to figure out, hey, can I get a career in that? Can I do that in the summer? Can I do that while I'm going to college? Is this really what I want to do the rest of my life? And those aren't always easy problems to solve, but it is a good way to get started on your path.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate your question. Thanks.
And go ahead. If one of your students want to ask a question, we'll have plenty of time for questions from both schools.
Sure. Bryce, go ahead. Do you want to come up here, sweetie, so he can see you? There you go.
Mr. Haynes, as we were researching your career in the NFL, we learned about your early detection of prostate cancer and how you're raising awareness of this type of cancer. By encouraging other men to get screenings, you're showing two of the pillars of character we've discussed in class, caring and responsibility. Do you feel you've made a difference, and do you know personally anyone whom you've helped?
Thank you for your question. Yes, I know that I've helped hundreds, if not thousands, of men with this issue. It's like a lot of things in life, people do a lot of things just kind of going along with the flow without even knowing why they're doing them. And so we have men who are getting screened or having their blood work done, and in their blood work, they're able to test if there's something going on, like prostate cancer. A lot of people don't know. Someone's taking blood. They don't know why they're taking blood. They've never really done the research. Everybody, just by a show of hands, how many people know what a symptom of breast cancer is? Does everybody know what breast cancer is? Anybody ever heard of it before? All right. It's a disease that only women get, I believe. Maybe if men get it, it's very, very rare that a man gets it. All right. Well, prostate cancer is a cancer that only men can get. And so who should be the most educated about this disease? Men, right? Men should be educated about it. 1 in 8 women will get breast cancer in their lifetime, and more men will get prostate cancer than women. 1 in 6 men will get it in their lifetime. But most men don't know where the prostate gland is. I want you to go get your health books out when you get a chance after this, okay? They don't know where the prostate gland is, what it does, or what a symptom of it is. And so for me, I was a lot like most men. I had heard of prostate cancer. I was getting screened for prostate cancer, but I didn't know anything about the disease. And so with my development of it, when I was asked to be the spokesperson, I said, yes, I would, because I thought it was crazy that I didn't know what it did, where it was located, or why I needed to know that I had it. Just like a lot of cancers, the early part of detection, if you can determine that you have cancer in the very early stages, you can beat cancer. But for the most part, most people don't have that luxury. And so our campaign, just like the breast cancer campaign, is designed to help folks find out in the early stages. That way you can have a normal life. So I used to be afraid of those kinds of things. I don't want to know if I have cancer. They'll tell me, but now what I know is that if you find out early, it's beatable, it's definitely treatable, and you can have a normal life. So I appreciate that question, and it's really getting behind that cause, what is allowing me to work on certain parts of my character that I want to work on. So I appreciate that question. Thank you.
Yeah, great question there. It's in Pennsylvania. I think one of the things that Mr. Haynes is hoping is with breast cancer, it's an open conversation. You see, women share information. You have Breast Cancer Awareness Month. It's something you talk about over the dinner table. Well, Mike Haynes is hoping that prostate cancer becomes the same way. That we're very open with sharing about things like that. It becomes just a general part of our conversation, just like breast cancer awareness is. Isn't that correct, Mr. Haynes?
That's right, Jerry. And I don't know if you kids know that in the month of October, all the football teams, they wear pink on their jerseys to symbolize breast cancer awareness. That whole idea, it really started with our group going to the NFL and asking them to wear blue in the month of September. And when they did their research, they found out that 6 teams were doing something for prostate cancer. But when they looked at what they were doing for breast cancer, they found that 31 of the 32 teams was doing something for breast cancer. So they said, well, hey, we're going to start there because it's consistent with some of the other goals that they had in terms of trying to attract women into our sport as fans and things like that. So awareness is important. We do a lot. The commissioner of the National Football League, a lot of other Hall of Famers have done a public service announcement trying to get the awareness out. But when you have football players standing up and saying, you guys need to get to the doctor and talk to him about your prostate and the chances of you getting prostate cancer, it makes a huge difference. And so it's great that we're using our celebrity status as Hall of Fame football players to make a difference like that and help with the awareness.
And students, just so you know, you start looking at your pillars. You talk citizenship, you talk caring, you talk those sorts of things. That's where those things really tie in, and the things that are very near and dear to Mr. Haynes' heart tie into those pillars of character, caring, and citizenship. Let's go to Timken High School. We'll let you guys do 2 since Sidman did 2.
Okay, can you hear us?
I can hear you. There you are.
Okay. right, go ahead.
Come on.
Mariah, come on up.
I'm staying right here. My name is Mariah. What changes have you observed in players since you played regarding character?
Oh, I couldn't hear you. I couldn't hear what you said. Can
Closer.
you-
Get all the way. Stand up.
What changes have you observed in players since you played regarding characters?
What changes have I observed? Did you hear what she said? Changes have
couldn't
I observed in
understand
players.
Okay, I'll repeat it for you here.
Yeah, 'cause
Okay.
I heard
What changes have you observed in players since you've played football regarding character?
Thank you for that question. It's a good question, actually.
I had a good time. And
Oh, I see D'Anzia.
I
You
was
guys did get
suffering on
connected.
the
All right,
stage.
Can't hear on this thing.
I just have been having
I'm going to mute them just a second here.
Okay.
D'Anzia.
Dog with the Hassan.
Tracy, can you do me a favor and grab those speakers off?
All right, I just
Okay.
muted them. We're good.
Okay. All right. Can Timken hear me? Wave if you can hear me, Timken. Okay. All right. Yeah, there have been a lot of changes. I think, for the most part, one of the biggest changes has been when a player comes into the National Football League. The National Football League started an orientation, a rookie orientation program to help the transition of players, help with transition into the league. And in the orientation, they understand the importance of having good character. We bring in a lot of other players that are still playing, and they talk to those new incoming players, and they talk to them about the importance of it. They talk to them about some of the league policies that guys need to understand. Otherwise, they'll break these policies and violate the policies, and they could be suspended or be fined and things like that. So the biggest difference is that the National Football League has established programs to help guys develop their character, improve their knowledge. Like, you don't know what you don't know, right? And so if you think that being rude or being unfriendly is cool, and you've been able to get away with it for so long, maybe you'll never learn. But you'll learn from working in the National Football League as a player that your uncoolness, your being unfriendly, is going to cost you dollars, because no one's going to want to invite you to come to their sports banquet. You're not going to get those extra dollars for that. No sports brands are going to want you endorsing their product, so they're not going to pay you extra to do that. So you're going to just have a career as a football player, and that's it. No off-the-field opportunities. And one thing that every athlete has, no matter what the sport is they can't play it forever. And so if you want to have a good transition out of football, if you want to be a good father, you want to be a good neighbor, and all these other things that are really important in life, you're going to have to make some changes if you have bad character when you first come into the league. So that's a very good question. The National Football League is committed to educating the guys, at least exposing them to opportunities to develop their character, because they are representatives of the National Football League. I haven't played in the National Football League since 1990, and I'm still representing them. And so my character still influences or has an impact on the game today. So if I was to do something really stupid, on the way out, hit somebody on the way out because I didn't like what they said, it would make the daily news here in San Diego, and it might make the national news because I'm a Hall of Fame football player. And so I think that when guys understand the importance of their character and the things that they do and that they matter, the NFL definitely understands that. And that's why there is a lot of difference today in terms of the educational programs for guys compared to when I came in. There was nothing in the 70s and 80s when I was playing. Thank you for your question.
And we'll go back to another one from Timken, but Stacy Thompson, I did want to let you guys know that I do see you guys connected. I just unmuted your microphones because when you connected in, you were unmuted. So and I muted them for a second. So if you want to just keep your microphones muted there at D'Anzia, we're going to get to you guys next. We're going to go to one more question from Timken, then to you guys. So Timken, go ahead with the next question.
Okay, can you hear us?
Yes.
Sure can.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
Hi, my name is
Hi.
Troy. What do schools do to create future leaders that have good character?
Can you repeat it, or someone else get closer to the mic, repeat it?
What? Go ahead.
What can schools do to create future leaders that have good character?
What can schools do to create future leaders that have good character? What can help with that?
Yeah, I think that there's, schools make a commitment to it. And if a school could make a commitment to developing leaders or developing good character in the kids and have different programs to explain it. As I said earlier, I think you need to have a reason to develop it. And I think that the school would start by starting with that, like why it's important to have good character. And so it's not that hard, I don't think, to really develop the programs. You can also do different things in the community just by giving back to the community. Go to your church and do something. You can go do something at an organization that needs your help. And so you'll learn just by helping other people that there's different things that you might have to change. Like, oh gosh, I grew up in Los Angeles, California, and we had a very diverse population there, different kinds of people. And so as a young kid, there were certain people that I really didn't like. I didn't want to be around because of my parents told me different things. But when I started doing things for other people, I was going, why did my parents tell me this? This guy seems okay. And I started to realize, yeah, there might be bad people, but there's a lot of good people in the world. And so when I got a one-on-one conversation or one-on-one interaction with someone, I'm going to give them the best of me, and I'll probably get the best from them. And so I started doing that at a young age as a paper boy, throwing the newspaper and collecting, my monthly, accounts or whatever. I'd go to doors and knock on doors, and if people were rude to me, you think I could say, and get mad and say something that I later regret? I couldn't, because that means I'm never going to get paid. And so just being active in the community, it gave me a chance to work on good character. I didn't know it when I was a kid that was what was really going on, but that is what was going on. So I think you can actually come up with different things in your own community that you can do. A few of the kids in your class can say, hey, let's get together and go to this retired community, retired citizens community, and let's just go there and help people once a month for 2 hours, and that different things like that will start to change your character, because you realize that maybe there's something to getting old. I used to not like old people. I used to not like kids. I'm sorry. I didn't like little kids when I was like a teenager. But as I got older, when I started working with kids and working with old people, all those kinds of things started to change. So, if your school doesn't have something already in place, I'm sure, just by looking at you, you look like you're a super bright young lady, and you could come up with any kind of plan that would, and it would be a successful plan. So I appreciate your question.
Thank you very much. And Danzy, I don't think is going to be able to interject any questions just because of audio issues. So, but they are tuning in. They are listening to you, Mr. Haynes. They just communicated via email. So
have them text you, Jerry. You could ask their question.
Sure. Yeah. If you guys have a question, you guys can text it in to me if you'd like. Yeah, definitely. Good idea, Mr. Haynes. One thing real quick, Mr. Haynes, is that, one of the things that comes up quite often in these programs is that the Hall of Famers talk about, or our Hall of Famers talk about, is about the people that they surrounded themselves with. And a lot of times we think of peer pressure as a negative thing, but peer pressure can be very positive as well. Can you talk about some of those things and maybe some of the influences that you had growing up, or whether negative or positive, and how they impacted you?
I'm glad you brought it up. I was going to actually talk about that in my opening. Peer pressure, I have a 14-year-old son, and he goes to a school, and he basically has said to me, Dad, all my friends, they don't seem to be guys of good character. And I said, what do you mean? Why are you hanging out with them then? He goes, I don't know, because they look like me. They're the only kids in the school that look like me. I said, well, how about some other people in the school that maybe don't look like you, but have the same goals and aspirations that you have? And he goes, I don't know, Dad. I'm thinking about, I want to go to another school. I don't think this is the right place for me. And what is actually going on is peer pressure. his peer, he looks a little different from some of the kids, you know, and his peer group is kind of telling him he's a little different. And it can be tough. I can tell you guys, growing up, and it doesn't stop when you get out of high school. It continues along, you know, into your adulthood as well. You're going to feel peer pressure. But it's really, how do you deal with the pressure? What do you do? Are you going to change just because of peer pressure? People do. People do. But what happens is that you will have to pay the consequences for those poor decisions somewhere down the line. So my advice is when you are experiencing peer pressure is to talk to somebody that you can talk to, that you know you can openly talk to, and try to work it out. It'd be impossible for me to try and solve those kinds of problems, but they do come up. So as a kid, growing up, I didn't always make the right decisions. I did succumb to peer pressure, but the consequences didn't kill me. And I'm lucky because a lot of friends, trust me, that I have, they didn't actually come out the same way. I grew up with a lot of great athletes in my life. Some of them tried things that I didn't try, and as a result of it, they got caught doing that, and they didn't get a chance to go on to college. Or if they did go on to college, they were under these conditions that they would accept them into college, but it's all under this condition. They had to do this different things like testing every month and things like that. You're gonna have pressure, and there are going to be times when you're going to give into it. But when you don't give into it, let's just say this: don't give into it. Don't give into it. Let's just say that. There used to be a campaign that's no longer on. It was like, you know, what do you say when your friends are trying to talk you into doing drugs? And then at the time, people were saying, well, tell them this and tell them that, and just say no. That's it. You don't have to have an excuse of why you don't want to do it. It's against the law. But a lot of people do it. They say, you're not going to get caught. No one's going to know. It's going to do it in my house, in my backyard, or whatever it is. Just the simple answer is no. It's against the law. I don't want to do it. And just live with that. I mean, if your friends are trying to get you to do things that are against the law, those aren't your real friends. They are not your true friends. They are not have your best interest at heart. And so, look, it's going to happen if it hasn't already happened, and you're going to be faced with making these kinds of decisions for a long time. You know what the right answer is. So do they. So do they. And they are not making, they're trying to pull other people down with them. Just don't go in, don't fall into that. And if you already have, pull yourself out. Get out of it, because you're taking a chance on your future. It's not worth it.
Thank you very much. And great idea by Mr. Haynes, because we did get an email in from our friends at Danza High School in Richmond, California. And their question is, out of the 6 pillars of character, trustworthiness, respect, responsibility, fairness, caring, and citizenship, which one do you believe is your strongest and why?
I would say my strongest one is courtesy. Huh. Is that one of the 6?
No, but I think it fits in with caring.
Okay. Caring, well, yeah, it is exactly the same. It's I realize that people don't know what people don't know. And I've been fortunate enough to go to college and have a lot of experiences in my life. And I use my experiences to help other people. And that has been my goal in life really, is to help other people and to help them avoid pitfalls that I had or I know that are there and that they're dealing with. So yeah, that's it. Without a doubt, caring is I think they're all important, but I think that's the one that has probably been more active in my life.
Thank you very much. Great question there coming from Richmond. Let's go back to Sidman, Pennsylvania. We'll go one question from each group now. And I see we have about, looks like about 15, 16 minutes left, something like that. So go ahead, Sidman, with your next question.
Hello, Mr. Haynes. I am Trevor. We asked the Question to almost all of the people we video conference. When you were playing in the NFL, did you have any superstitions or special routines you went through prior to going onto the field?
I did. I'd actually like to get to the stadium early before the other players. This was in pros. I guess when I was your age, I didn't play football when I was your age. I started playing football in college. I would try to get my left ankle tape before my right ankle tape. I would get out there and I work on the football field and work up a good sweat. And instead of like trying to save energy, I tried to burn energy. I had it to burn, and I wanted to start the game as if the first 5 plays of the game were going to be deep passes against me. And so I had to be in excellent condition, and I had to be ready for that. So those were the kind of things I did pre-game to prepare for that. Another thing that I did that is what I would encourage you to do, or other athletes to do, is do not highlight any negative powers that are trying to infect a team. Like if I don't care who you're Timken. Is this Timken High School? Oh no, this is not Timken. This is the other school. But if you're have something negative being said, turn it into a positive somehow. And that was so. I did not like any negatives, negative influence on my team. Someone says, "Man, I don't feel good today." I'm a little tired from doing that practice, that we did yesterday. Say, hey, man, we had a good practice yesterday. We worked really hard yesterday. Let's somehow turn that negative thought or those negative words into a positive. And I just wanted to be around positive people and positive words the whole time. Thank you for your question.
Yes, thank you very much. Let's go to Timken.
Okay, Timken will have one more question, and then I apologize. They are going to have to leave here in a few minutes to change classes. So,
okay.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Kwasi. Why is it important for football players to be leaders or role models?
Oh, good question. Good question. I do leadership training at some colleges, and that is a question that a lot of guys have asked, and not only your age, these are college students. Good question. So the real reason is because you are right now already a leader, already a role model. You already are. There are little kids in your neighborhood, in your community, looking up to you right now, just like you looked up to other athletes in your community when you were a little kid. And so if you're making good decisions, there's a good chance they're going to make good decisions because they want to be like you. If you fall down and make a bad decision someplace, then it opens the door for them to make bad decisions. And so that is the main reason. And so if you're on a team, then you learn on a team, especially like football, that it's not about you. And it's really like, how good are you at pulling your team up with you and being as good as the weakest player on the team? And so if you're not one of those guys and you can't do that, that team's not going to go very far. And so it's really important in team sports that the guys who are the good athletes say, I'm going to be committed to being on the best team and helping my team be the best they can be. And that's really it. And so you set an example. So when you're a senior and you're gone, and the next group, the freshmen that come in that saw you, they're going to say, man, I was here with him when he was here. He worked really hard. He was always positive. He was always picking up everybody. Everybody loved him. I want to be like him. And so then it's kind of like starts as year after year, guys are trying to be like you, and guys who saw you are trying to be like them. So it's something that you will be doing if you're an athlete for the rest of your life. And the other positive thing about it is you will be able to take those skills, those same exact skills, into the workforce when you leave the sports world. Thank you for your question.
Yes, thank you, Tipkin, and we do understand that you guys have a schedule that you have to stick to, so we definitely understand and appreciate your questions here today. But Mr. Haynes, I've heard you mention this twice, and I love it because it's because it not only speaks to pro football, but it speaks to life. And you've said it just now, and you said it earlier in your opening comments. It's not about me, and you said in this one, it's not about you. It's about my team. Can you talk about that philosophy not only on the football field, but you are a business owner now? Mike Haynes Associates. You do consulting for companies, and you have a team that you have there. Can you talk about the parallels about how it's not about me with the Raiders and Patriots, but also with Mike Haynes Associates as well?
Well, I think it's probably the greatest thing that I learned in sports. I didn't know I was learning it, by the way. But if I was running track, it seemed like it was about me. But when I was playing football, it was about the team. And so I might have a great game. Everybody, oh, it was great. But then when I'm out talking to other folks who say, what was your team's record? I go, well, what about me? And I got really fortunate that when I got to college, I did play on a great team. My high school team, we were horrible. We only won. We didn't win any games my senior year. We tied the last game. But in college, I played in 3 Fiesta Bowls, went undefeated my senior year. We were number 2 in the country. And to make my point, this is really going to be interesting. My junior year, I led the nation in interceptions with 11. So the next year, I said I'm going to set a goal to get 15 interceptions in one season. And so I had 3. Well, our team was going undefeated, but after every single game, I was upset. I was disappointed because I wasn't achieving my personal goal of getting interceptions. And so while the whole team is celebrating and wanting to go out and have a good time, I'm walking around with a long face because I realized I'm not going to be able to get to 15 interceptions. We only have 6 games left. And so the takeaway from me for that was I can't control the outcome of the games. I can't control what happens to me, but I can be part of this great team. I can set personal goals that I can be happy with. And so when I did that, it really in the National Football League in my rookie year, I realized, you know what, it never was about me. It's always been about the team. And so let me work on trying to create the best team environment I can, and let me celebrate with my teammates when they do something great. Before, I might have been jealous. I might have been jealous of my teammate. But when I realized, this is all about the team. It's not about me. And I think that's what the military does so well. That's what, going to a camp is all about. They break you down when it's not about you. It's not about you, and you clearly can see it's about you. And then the moment you realize it's about the team, I have orders, I'm going to do my job, I'm going to do the best of my ability, then you start to realize that everything kind of fits together. And so for me, that was the greatest lesson. And I say that to everybody all the time because it is so important. I see kids, I'm coaching 10-year-old football players right now. And we have one guy, he's a super great player. His dad is always in my ear. And everything is about that one kid. And every conversation I have, I'm trying to kick it back to the team. Your son is really good. Is he helping our team get better? I know you went away to this great camp. What's he going to do with that information? Is he going to talk to these other 5 kids that play the same position, or is he going to hold it to himself? It's not about him. If I have to say it's about him, and he wants to make it about him, then it's, at some point along the line, he's going to have this reality that it's not about him like I did. So it's a good lesson that all people should learn. All athletes will learn at some point because they have to if they really want to continue on the next level.
And if I can throw one more question out there before we go back to Sidman for a couple more, our friends at Richmond, California submitted a question. They have a classroom full of students that many of them have disabilities, and just want to know if there's any advice for overcoming, because we all have obstacles in our life, whether it's in the shape of a disability, whether it's in the shape of cancer, whether it's in the shape of an offensive lineman or a wide receiver or whatever it might be, a death in the family. We face obstacles. What's your advice to them of how to overcome obstacles in life?
My advice would be the same advice I'd give to anybody. Be the best that you can be. Be the best that you can be. Everybody's going to face obstacles in their life. Without exception, no one can live on this country or on this earth without having obstacles. Be the best that you can be. Don't accept what other people are telling you all the time. Try not to do that. If I had accepted everything, and even my own parents, I wouldn't have made it in the National Football League. I wouldn't have gone to college. I wouldn't have done a lot of different things. But when I was trying to be the best that I could be and to remain positive, I think good things worked out for me. So, you know, I know it's maybe a tougher challenge, but really the challenge is the same in a lot of ways. You know, you still have to be the best that you can be and be committed to being the best you can be.
Thank you very much, Mr. Haynes. And we're going to go to a couple questions from Forest Hills. I think we got looks like about 6-7 minutes left. Go ahead and do a question or two from Forest Hills.
Hi, Mr. Haynes. I'm Skylar. We see you're wearing your Super Bowl ring. Could you please put it up close to the camera and show it to us? And was receiving this ring the best thing that's ever happened to you?
This is actually not my Super Bowl ring. This is my Hall of Fame ring. And it is the best thing that ever happened to me. And I'll tell you why. Can you see it? Yeah? Okay. It's the best thing that ever happened to me because it basically, the only way you can get in the Pro Football Hall of Fame is you played on great teams. And they may not have all been good enough to win a Super Bowl. That's really special when you do. But in order for me to be great at my position, other guys have to be great at their positions as well. So I had great defensive linemen. I had great linebackers. And some of those players are in the Pro Football Hall of Fame as well because of their ability. So I appreciate you asking me that. Yeah, making it in the Pro Football Hall of Fame is the greatest accomplishment a football player can have, and I really treasure it.
And before you go back to your next question, if we can go along with that, you know, you have the Hall of Fame jacket on, Mr. Haynes. You have the Hall of Fame ring. You have your bronze bust here in Canton, Ohio. You know, you've had a lot of rewards, I guess you could say, for a lot of the work that you've done throughout your life. But not everyone goes on to a Hall of Fame career. Not everyone gets an A on the test, even though they may have worked as hard as you. The perfect example is this year, Peyton Manning is one of the hardest working football players ever, and he didn't win the Super Bowl this year. What advice do you have for those students that maybe they really busted his or her tail, but you know they got a C on the exam or something like that? What advice do you have for them?
Enjoy it. You know, one of the things that, you know, set your goals really, really high. And I think if you set them low, well, let me just say this. I have this philosophy about goal setting. No matter what goals you set, you're not going to achieve them. Okay? And so if you set it super high, even though you don't achieve it, you will achieve a lot of other things in your life. And so when I say that, I mean, like, say if your goal was to win a Super Bowl, probably not going to win one. If your goal is to win 10 Super Bowls, probably going to at least win one. And that's really what I mean. And so so when you work really hard, celebrate the hard work. I mean, look at the accomplishments that you have. Feel good about what you have. And then go back and evaluate your goals. And then you might have to change something in those goals. But if you start with setting them really high, good chances you're going to like the result. You'll feel good about celebrating it later.
I've once heard it said that if you shoot for perfection, you'll pass excellence on the way. So
I like that. Is that a truism?
I think I got it from somebody else, so I can't take credit. Let's go ahead, Sidman.
Go ahead. We learned that giving back to the community is very important to you, and you've received numerous honors and awards for doing so. Congratulations. In your opinion, what has been the most rewarding to you, and what can you say to the youth today to encourage us to be good citizens?
I guess let me start with at the back end with what, you know, say to you to be good citizens is we all have an important role, I think, on this earth, and helping each other be successful is the thing that I enjoy the most. I really seriously enjoy helping other people succeed. I don't get any joy in seeing people fail. I hate it, actually. I actually hate to see people fail. And when someone took a test and got an F on the test, I'd say, did you study? Did you get a good night's sleep? What's going on in your house? Are you eating right? How much time did you study? I really feel bad that they didn't do well on that test. I feel bad when I'm around athletes. I feel bad when I see businesses go bad. I feel bad when I see something negative happen in my community to a kid or to an adult. It doesn't matter because I care so much. And so if we start off with that we are all good people and we all have rights and we all want to be able to live in a world that we can achieve our dreams and succeed, I'm committed to helping find the answers to making those things come true. And I think that's really how I live my life. And the other part of your question is like, what award have I won that I kind of enjoy the most? Or, I've won so many awards that I really can't pick one of them out, because one, they all symbolize the same thing. They symbolize that I do care. And in the National Football League, the greatest award a player can get is the Walter Payton Award, the Man of the Year Award. I never got that award. But that would have been the award that I would have treasured the most as a player, because it means that I am giving back to the community. There's so many guys that are in my shoes that do give back. I'm hoping that we're being good role models for folks like you, and that you'll want to also give back. Thank you for your question.
Great question there. And I see we're coming down to the close of the time. Mr. Haynes, you've covered a lot of things here today, and the students have had some awesome questions. I could tell just by your pauses before you gave your response, it made you think a little bit as to how you want to respond and maybe dig in the memory bank a little bit of situations in your life. But is there anything, either A, that you would like to reiterate that you've already talked about today, or B, is there something that maybe you haven't touched on that you would like to share to close out the program?
I guess the thing I'd like to close out the program with is that we all can make a difference. Every day we can make a difference. And I want to give an example of different things that we see and we don't do anything about, and we think it's okay. You see something going on in your school, you see someone picking on another kid, or in business, I can see someone who's cheating on their bill or something, their invoices or whatever. What do you do about it? Do you address it? Do you at least even talk to the other person about it? Or do you just do nothing? And doing nothing, what I've learned over time, doing nothing is basically saying that that behavior is okay. It's okay to treat that person wrong. It's okay to rob us on the invoices and things like that, and collect more than you should collect. We have a responsibility, and we need to hold ourselves accountable. And so if you guys are really into sports, you see a lot of stuff in the sports world that's really been focused on here in the last week. And I'm so happy that all these things rise to the top, because they force us to think about them and to talk about them and share about them in our lives. And every single day, I believe that we are forced and faced with these kinds of decisions. As a driving my car, do I let that person in or not? Different little things like that. Like, what's the difference? I got plenty of time. I hear someone say something negative about a person, and it's meant to hurt the person. If I don't say anything, then it's like, okay, I must do that too. I must think it's okay to talk like that about people. So anyway, it's things like that I think that we need to address more, and just be more transparent about certain things, so that we can deal with some of these other issues that need to be dealt with. So that's it. Be accountable, and know that your words, and even the words that you don't speak, they mean something. And so I just hope and pray that you're aware of that.
And Mr. Haynes, on behalf of the Hall of Fame and all the staff here, you know us very well here. I know you're a busy man between your business, between all the other things that you're involved with, whether it's the Urology Association, the NFL, the Hall of Fame. There's a number of associations that you're involved with that you spend a lot of time with. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day to share with these students a little bit about what transpired in your life. And students, if you can unmute your mics for a second and join me in giving a warm round of applause and saying thank you to Pro Football Hall of Famer Mr. Mike Haynes.